Well, Graham Martin of the EnOcean Alliance is a regular visitor to our meetings here in Las Vegas. Graham, it's great to see you again. Tell us how 2017 has been for EnOcean, the technology, and the EnOcean Alliance.
Well, thank you, Vince. Great to be here again and to see you again. 2017 was our best year ever. We exceeded our aggressive growth targets for adoption of the technology. So what we're seeing now is results of the long years of hard work, putting the products onto the market, doing the field tests, doing the proof of concepts. And I think it's a combination of this along with the market becoming more and more aware of saving energy and becoming more comfortable and becoming more connected.
Well, it's good to hear this because, as you know, I've been a believer in your technology for a long time, so I'm glad I backed the right horse in that case. So where are things today? What are we seeing from EnOcean and your member companies?
Yes, so we're seeing a number of new things. On the technology front, we've introduced a number of new programs. One is EnOcean over IP, which brings us into the world of IBM Watson, Apple HomeKit, OCF, etc., which we think is a very necessary part of the Internet of Things for intelligent buildings.
Yes.
We've also introduced a certification program. As the ecosystem grows and even the energy harvesting devices become more and more complex, this is necessary to keep our high level of multi-vendor interoperability. What we also did very quietly is we introduced outdoor long-range energy harvesting wireless technology in Japan, mainly for smart agriculture.
And what are you talking about in terms of long range?
We're talking about 5, 6, 7 kilometers.
Wow.
Based on energy harvesting wireless.
That's very impressive.
It is very impressive.
Yeah.
We've been field trialing it for 4 years in Japan, and it's been very successful, survived all the Japanese typhoons and winters, etc. So we've launched that in Japan as well as a kind of extra business. But the key things we're seeing in our core business is the way smart buildings are developing. So decades ago we had automated buildings,
Yes.
where you would walk into a room and the light went on. Then over the years we turned this into what we call smart buildings. So you would walk into a room, it would adjust the lighting, it would adjust the temperature, the humidity, CO2 levels, etc., to make it more comfortable and to save energy. And the next quantum leap here is what we call the cognitive buildings. So it means...
So what does that mean?
It means that all of this data is collected, put into the internet, into a cloud, and analyzed so that your building can be automatically optimized and you can use all of this data. Maybe an example, most office buildings in the Western world are probably only 60 to 70% used during the working week.
Yes.
Because we've changed the way we work. We travel more, we stay at home more to work, we're on vacation, etc. So if you're using 30 or 40% more space than you really need, that's 30 or 40% more costs. That's significant. So that's the first thing you can find out by analyzing all of this data. The second thing is obviously the energy usage. So you can see when the rooms are occupied, how much energy they're using, what's the heating, cooling, CO2 levels. So it's actually a quantum leap because the building is telling you not just how to save energy, which has always been an important part of EnOcean Alliance,
Yes.
But also how you can optimize your space and optimize the comfort of your employees.
And I believe companies on that point specifically are finding real benefits in implementing it.
It's huge. I mean, if you can imagine a company with 1,000 buildings, maybe they don't need all of these buildings, or maybe they can optimize the usage of them. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, studies have shown that if the worker is comfortable at work and happy at work, he is 15% more productive and 15% less ill, which is huge, and it actually changes the way we sell the technology. Before, the discussion used to be, how much does it cost to install, and what's the return on investment before I get that money back by saving energy? Today, you say your people are 15% more effective, they're 15% less ill, it pays for itself in weeks or months.
I can see that companies would be very open to that prospect.
Absolutely, yeah. So these are new things we are seeing. In addition to our core business of smart buildings, which, as I said, is growing significantly and the adoption is increasing. As the world becomes more and more aware of the need for comfort, security, and energy saving in buildings.
And I would imagine that this is not a hard concept to sell to the people that actually build the buildings either. So they're thinking about this on an ongoing basis as they're planning new buildings.
It sounds like a no-brainer, but it's actually harder than you think.
Really?
Because this industry is a slow-moving, slow-changing industry. I mean, when we formed this over 10 years ago, we thought, you know, it would be massive within 5 years. We're now 10 years down the road. It's just beginning to take off. And
these things always take longer than we want them to, though, don't they?
Absolutely. But as I say, last year and even moving into this year, we're seeing significant growth, significant development, and significant new players entering the technology. Last year, for example, IBM, ENGIE, the French energy giant. So we're seeing
some great partners,
some great new partners, some great new adoptions, some great new ways of adopting and marketing and selling the technology.
So you've had your best year yet. Where do you go from here? What have you got to look forward to?
Obviously, an even better year.
An even better year, yes.
Yes, and it looks like we're going that way. And of course, EnOcean has always been about energy harvesting. And when we're talking about the IoT and billions and trillions of devices, connected devices, obviously, and we've said this since day one, energy harvesting will play a significant role here. And yes, there are things like fridges and cookers and cars that have a lot of energy available, but there are billions and trillions of devices that can be run off energy harvesting where it's very difficult or impossible to pull a cable or very ineffective to change batteries. So I think the world is seeing this more and more. They're beginning to accept what Graham's been preaching for the past 10 years and more, and what Vince has been asking him for the past 10 years or more. It's beginning to pay off, and we're very happy.
Well, I think we're fortunate enough to be able to go over the next couple of days, you and I, and talk to some of these companies that you're working with, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the exciting products and applications that they're implementing. Thanks very much, Graham.
Thank you, Vince.